Lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord that I wake again. I wake again, I pray the Lord that I wake. Now I lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord that I wake again. I wake again, I pray the Lord that I wake.
Welcome to Dinner with the Coaches. I am one of the hosts, Nadira Lewis, and I have my amazing other host over here, Thomas T. Taylor III.
Good evening.
How are you today?
Back by popular demand. Simply marvelous. Better than good and better than most.
All right. Well, if you are watching us via Facebook, make sure you click the like and share button. If you are watching us via YouTube, make sure you click the subscribe button, hit the notification button so that you can be notified every time we upload a new video. So, Coach T, talk to them about our amazing guest that we have this wonderful Sunday evening.
Yeah. Hey, welcome to Daylight Savings, you guys.
Yes.
Still got some sunlight out there in the Atlanta area.
Yes.
Lost an hour of sleep. But hey, you guys, we actually have an amazing guest. Actually, she's one of the individuals who, when we first started dealing with the coaches, she was one of our panelists, one of our guests when we first started. That's Miss Sharmane Harrison. And she has a phenomenal story, ladies and gentlemen, how she utilized just natural health, just natural herbs and different things to change some issues that she was having internally with her body. And the story is amazing. So, I hope you guys are locked in and tuned in. We have an amazing guest, Miss Sharmane. She's actually a health coach, right? She has a website called Heal by Nature, right? So it's going to be very, very, very exciting this evening.
Awesome. And it's going to be awesome because Sharmane was very instrumental in helping me recover, during a part of, I've had many people that were helping me, get through the time when I had COVID last year. And Sharmane was actually one of them, as far as helping me with getting myself back on track. It was my best friend. I've had another friend, everybody. I've had a multitude of people, with the community, that we're a part of, the community that I was a part of, just really instrumental in helping me get back on track. And so Sharmane was one of them. So, and the products and the suggestions that she gave actually really helped me, along with everybody else's suggestion. Everybody was suggesting natural, but it's important that we really pay attention to the things that we put in our body so that when times come, like, coronavirus or any other type of virus, our bodies are equipped, to be able to deal with it. So we're going to play this video real quick. And after this video, the next face you will see alongside of me and my amazing coach is that of Natural Herbal, Sharmane Harrison.
Yeah, and that's why we're going to talk about what you just said. We're going to talk about tonight. Are we focusing on our health as much as we're focusing on our wealth? Stay tuned.
We'll be back after this. And we are back here with Dinner with the Coaches with my amazing co-host and our guest panelist, Sharmane, who is definitely not new to Dinner with the Coaches. He is a part of us when we first started. So welcome to Dinner with the Coaches.
Welcome, Miss Sharmane. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I love y'all energy. I love the energy that you me out like up there. I'm like, yes, good stuff.
Yeah, appreciate it. Well, Sharmane, we've known you for a while. And again, first we're going to say thank you for taking some time to hang out with Dinner with the Coaches.
Yes.
Our audience is starting to grow. And we bring guests where, it's very instrumental in helping our listening audience, because sometimes you just never know where an individual is. So we try to, have various, panelists on to talk about various things. And last week we had a good friend of mine, Lorna, on, as well as her coach, Miss Mashika boy. And we was really going in. Matter of fact, we're going to do a part 2 because Mashika said she still had notes and information that she didn't get a chance to talk about because it went so fast. So we'll have them back later on in the month. But we kind of want to piggyback off of, because it's a brand new year. Individuals, sometimes we have, goals in the beginning of the year. We have all these different things. And typically it's wrapped around that wealth and, health area, right? Wellness, things of that nature. We have, these fitness goals, right, in the beginning of the year. So this evening, we kind of want to, get into it where we're kind of talking about health versus wealth, right? Because we know sometimes we go hard in the wealth area. And then sometimes that the health part, especially for men, is a little bit lagging because we're so focused on something else. We kind of like, I get to that. Our wives or significant others kind of, hey, you need to go to the doctor. You need to get a physical. Now we just keep going and going and going until, okay, now we have to deal with it. So what's your experience with, health versus wealth, Ms. Sharmane?
Well, I love the topic because it's like, are we focused on our health as, well as our wealth? And the answer for majority of people are no. And that's exactly what led me to my illness. One of my major illnesses, that autoimmune conditions that I suffered from, because health is wealth, but wealth doesn't mean health. You can be wealthy all day. You don't have to have your health. But if you have your health, that's the foundation of you getting to the wealth, because you can't do anything without it. That's the foundation. So for me, I have been diagnosed with multiple different autoimmune conditions while serving in the military. That's fast paced, right?
Wow.
That whole area is fast paced. And those 8 years that I was serving, I was just going. We didn't have time to, in the military, when you go get your health taken care of, it's looked at in a certain light as being, you're taken away from the mission. You're being weak. Take some ibuprofen, drink some water. Let's get back in the game.
Wow.
And I did that for 8 years, and my health suffered tremendously from doing that. And I was diagnosed after, and it was crazy because it was after I left the military, when I was on leave, that I was diagnosed with that autoimmune condition.
Wow.
That took my body over the whole thing. So I had this autoimmune condition called lichen planus, and I was diagnosed in November of 2017. Now, with that condition, the reason I took it so seriously after all those years of being diagnosed with other illnesses was because my physical had been altered. My physical appearance had been altered, and it was in my face. So there was I couldn't ignore it, because my hair was falling out. My skin was itching. It was bleeding. It was burning.
Ooh.
And it was nonstop. And then also the biggest thing was 95% of my skin was pigmented. It had all this pigmentation on it. So that was something that you can't ignore that, It's something that you cannot ignore at all. So for me, that was my red flag. That was one of my biggest defining moments. That was where I was just like, oh my goodness, what's going on, right? Because you can't ignore that. So I went to about 4 doctors.
Okay.
All of those doctors told me that they didn't know what was going on. They're like, I don't know. They threw steroid creams at me. They threw itching creams at me. They were just trying different things like, well, we don't really know, but we can try this, you know? And so finally, I went to a dermatologist. I got referred over to a dermatologist, and they did a biopsy on my skin.
Wow.
When they did that biopsy, it came back, and they were like, you have an autoimmune condition called lichen planus. I never heard of it before, you know.
Yeah.
I was like, what's that? When he explained to me, he was like, well, it's just an autoimmune condition, right? And I'm like, okay, and I need more answers. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like, so my questions were, what's the cure? That's my first question. He said, there is no cure, Miss Harrison. I'm sorry.
Ooh.
So
What?
at this point, my skin is pigmented, covered from head to toe. The only place it didn't cover was my face. My hair is falling out rapidly, and all this happened within a 90-day window. My skin was burning and bleeding. My pores were bleeding, and my mouth was hurting so bad. I had white patches in my mouth, and my skin, I had patches of skin that were turning like a purplish blue color. And all this happened really quickly. And you mean to tell me I go to the hospital and I get told that there's nothing that you can do except give me some cream and tell me there's no cure? So that was pretty frustrating. Now, the illnesses I were diagnosed with while serving, those were illnesses, more autoimmune conditions, arthritis, diabetes, just a lot of cyanide. It's just a lot of different illnesses, right? But those illnesses I didn't take very seriously. Those are things people suffer with every day.
Yeah.
The pain is not that intense. I'm like, okay, whatever. So, you know, I was busy making money. I was busy serving my country. I was busy being a mother. Busy. I was going. So when you ask the question, are we focusing on our health as much as our wealth? Most of the time we're not. And that's not just for me. That's just for most people in general that I speak to, you know, but we don't really pay attention because we're too busy kind of going, and that pain point isn't high enough, you know, because most people have heartburn. Most people suffer with, heartburn and seasonal allergies, maybe a rash here and there, a stomach ache or something. But there's still those are signs that your body, something going on with your body. Yeah. And unfortunately, because it's not your skin is not pigmented, or the doctor told you there's no cure, it's not serious enough. So that's what I found out in my journey so far.
Wow, incredible. So let me ask you, so now when you got out the military, they didn't try to help? Because I know you said like 90 days after, but you're still connected because you're still a soldier per se.
Absolutely. So no. Once that was just another diagnosis to them, you know, because my medical record was like long. So that's just another diagnosis to add. So with doctors, they serve their purpose, absolutely, but they study medication. Yeah. For me, I grew up. I grew up in a space where I was always medicated. You know, I had a lot of trauma growing up. I had a lot of things going on growing up as far as, you know, sexual, physical, emotional trauma. And I suppressed all that within my body. And I hadn't realized that too played a role in your health. When you suppress those emotions from not healing, those things play a huge role. So for me, like I was saying, you know, doctors serve their purpose, but when it came to treatment, they don't focus on the root cause. They focus on the symptom for the moment. You know, when they give you a Band-Aid to cover that up. But overall, our health is our responsibility. True. It's our responsibility. You know, and that lesson that I learned is stop waiting until it's too late and pay attention to your body. Pay attention to those little signs, those little things that we're doing, like the little things that we're experiencing is not normal. If you're drinking a cup of coffee and you're having a stomach ache every time you drink coffee, or something's going on, that's not normal. But we live in a society, in the world right now, where we feel like that's normal, that happens. It's because of my age. It's because of my job. I used to say that all the time. Well, I'm in the military, so my bones are supposed to hurt. This is supposed to happen because, I'm this, and it's like, man, you ignore. But if you don't choose a path, your body will. Your body will choose. So if you don't choose that path of taking care of yourself, your body will choose. And then you don't have a choice, like we were saying earlier. Now you have to wait until you're struck with something, or, you go down, or your body just gives out. And then it's like, are you listening now? Now do you want to pay attention?
It stops you in your tracks. So now go back though. Before you got out of the military, I heard you say you had some symptoms, but they didn't get as severe until you got out.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, when I was leaving the military, that was a transition period for me that was supposed to be exciting. I'm going back, I'm going to civilian world. I'm going to, do my thing. I'm not as stressed. The stress level should have came down. Right. So what ended up happening when I got out, my body completely shut down. And it was confusing to me because I'm like, wait, this is supposed to do the opposite. Like I'm supposed to feel good. But my body had already, all those symptoms, all those illnesses that were sitting in my body, they were never released. They were all suppressed. All the emotions, all the trauma, all the feelings, I was 160 pounds when I left the military, and I'm short. I'm short. So that was a lot of weight, but that was accumulated from stress and things like that. So my body was speaking to me. My body was speaking to me, but I was ignoring it. And I got out the military, and guess what? Oh, I'm about to go celebrate. Let me go have some drinks. I'm about to go do this. Let me go do this. Let me go do that. So my habits that I accumulated over the years, I still had those habits. The drinking, the smoking, the eating unhealthy, the eating, pizza every week on a Friday, and the eating a pack of Oreos. I still had those habits. So what ended up happening with my body was that I suppressed all that, the emotions, the anxiety, all that stuff that comes with being in the military, sleep deprivation. I took all that with me. There was no release. So I took all that with me, and then my body reflected. That's what I, honestly feel like happened. My body just reflected everything that I had went through, and it was suppressing and holding it all in. So when I went down my path of going to the doctor, they were like, hey, we're gonna give you all this medication. In my defining moment, I just got tired of it. I got tired of it. They were, hey, let's give you this. And half of the medication, I was looking at it, and I'm like, I took some of these creams, steroid creams, and I was like 10 for eczema. It's not going to work for what I have now. I know it's not, because it barely worked back then, So it was something in me was like, okay, something in me has to come out. There's something going on within my body. So that's when I said, hey, let me look into going a more natural route. Let me look into, and I told the doctor, I said, well, thank you. And I left, and I needed to go a more natural route. So the day I left the dermatologist, I started looking into what lichen planus was. Now for me, I didn't see anyone that overcame it. I couldn't find anyone. I went on YouTube, I went on Facebook, I went on Instagram. I found support groups, but I found only thing I found was people complaining.
About it.
That's all I saw. So it was just like, wow, it was sad for me, because I was like, man, so it was kind of tough in the beginning, trying to find that support, trying to find that help of what's going on. So I started just trying a lot of different things. I tried a bunch of different diets. I tried, they say, do this diet, do that diet, all these different, but nothing was working. Put this on your skin. Go put some coconut oil on there. Nothing was working. So it was like, man, nothing was working. But then I went a more natural route, and I found out what was going on with my body. Like, again, it was a combination of my habits. It was a combination of what I was consuming. It was a combination of not getting rest. It was a combination of not releasing trauma, which a lot of us do. We don't release trauma, and that sits in our body. And a lot of people do not know that. So stress plays a huge role in our health, because you can be as healthy as you want, eat as much as, vegetables and fruit as you want. But there's people right now who's been diagnosed with cancer and they're vegan or vegetarian, or they're eating healthy, let's do the air quotes, and they're still suffering because they have suppressed trauma in their body that they have not released.
Wow. Well, I hope everybody is listening, because Sharmane said a mouthful right there. But inside of that, because it's your story, and I know, to me, it's a story of triumph, like I said before, right? But I want to ask you a question, though, relative to, you kind of breezed by it, though. What gave you the belief that you can change this? See, because you said you got into these different support groups and you didn't see anybody who, quote unquote, overcame it. You saw people complaining about it. So where did you get the strength and the belief that you can do what you did, right? So because when you had it and when you're dealing with it, sometimes we can't see past our current reality. But there was something inside of you that allowed you to actually see past that and say, no, this is not going to be the end of the story. Like, where does that belief come from?
Absolutely. So one of the things for me is serving in the military absolutely contributed to that leadership part, right? So for me, I ended up going in those Facebook groups, and people were saying they were suicidal. They just didn't want to live. That's how serious it was for the ones, for those of us that were suffering at the time, that the itchiness of the skin and things like that, because doctors weren't taking it seriously. So for me, I didn't want to see that, because I know I was suffering too, but as a community, I was like, yo, you guys, we can't do this. And I was in other people's Facebook group at the time, in this support group. And I'm like, no, we're going to ride. Like, the natural leadership was like, no, we're going to beat this. Because that's sad to see, a group of people, all of them suffering. It's just sad.
Defeated.
So I was like, no, we're going to find, even though at the time I didn't know what to do, but I said to myself, I was like, this is not life. This is supposed to be one of the best times of my life, leaving the military and being able to transition and focus on what I want to focus on. And I said, I'm going to go a more natural route. That's what I told myself. I was like, I'm not dealing with this, because it upset me. The doctor came to me and said, there is no cure, but there's nothing we can do about it. That took my options away.
Yeah.
And I like options, okay? That's real. My options are like, now you cornered me and told me, like, that's it.
Okay. So it sounds like you're pretty defiant to me. It sounds like you didn't get started until somebody told you no. What? You telling me no? That's when you got started.
Yeah. So for me, I was like, no, it's something I can do, because, you hear stories about people curing themselves from cancer. You hear these stories about people being able to overcome these illnesses and things like that. Come on, like, there's something I can do. I know for a fact, so I went a more natural route, because it's like, hey, when you go a more natural route and looking into different herbs, or just looking for different ways to relieve your body of different illnesses and things like that, what's the side effects? There are no side effects. That's how I saw it. Me going a healthier route, trying to lose the weight. I was 160 pounds and I lost 30 pounds in within a matter of 4 to 6 weeks.
Wow.
Because simply, I was just determined. But I had to figure out what was going on within my body in order to do that first. And that's something that I was able to do through looking through medicinal herbs and looking at the teachings of Dr. Sebi. So for me, I think the biggest thing was unlearning what I was always taught about the human body, and about how the human body gets its nutrients and the protein and the whole, the different things going on with the human body. So I had to unlearn a lot of stuff that I learned, which it was such a shock factor when I was studying different things. When I picked up on who Dr. Sebi was and things like that, and his teachings, I was like, well, this makes sense. You have a lot of waste in your body that needs to come out, So I was like, okay. So I ended up going down that route, finding a lot of different knowledge, and I just started applying. I just started applying a lot of different things to my body, different medicinal herbs, different just not the herbs, practicing holistic things. So the trauma, the stress that was in my body. Now, I personally went through years of therapy before I left the military, so that helped. But then when I came out, I had to manage it myself, my stress levels myself. Every time I stressed out, my skin flared up. Every time I stressed out, my body hurt. Every time I stressed out, mucus was in my body, mucus appeared. So I had to start paying attention.
Wow. So take us through this before and after picture right here. I just want everybody who's tuning in to really get a picture of this. Kind of take us through what we see on the before side.
Absolutely. So that picture was in January of no, that picture was more November. November I was diagnosed. So that picture had to be about December 2017 because I had cut all my hair off in January 2018. But that was after I was diagnosed, after I went to the Facebook groups and saw the different people just sad and, oh my goodness. And I said, you know what? I didn't see anybody smiling in any of the pictures. So I decided to wake up one day and I said, you know what? If I have to look like this, because I was at a point in my life where I felt like if I have to deal with this for the rest of my life, then I'm gonna smile about it and I'm gonna be a trooper about it. I'm gonna have this optimistic attitude. So I remember waking up and I just took the picture like, hey, if I'm gonna be, this is the words I said. If I'm gonna be an X-Men, I'm gonna be the X-Men, best X-Men I can be. The prettiest X-Men. So I took the selfie and I ended up posting it. And little did I know, I didn't even realize I would have an after picture because at that time I was just accepting of how I was looking at the time. I was just like, you know what, and that's the place a lot of people are that's suffering with lichen planus or even illnesses. They're at that before, physically they may not look like that, but they're at that before where they're like, hey, the doctor told me this, I have to deal with it. They said I got diabetes. They said that this, runs in my family and I have to deal with it. So they don't do anything about it. They don't feel like there's any other options. And that's where I was at mentally in that before pitch. I was just accepting of it before I knew better and did better.
Yeah, it sounds like one of those mindset, Jedi mind tricks where you have to tell yourself, almost like Mary J. Blige, good morning, gorgeous. Hello, gorgeous. Kind of keep telling yourself that because you don't see nobody around you in your circle that actually change their current reality, right? So that mindset actually sounds like the mindset was a trigger to you, saying that you're not going to accept this because somebody told you had to. Miss Nadira?
Yeah, that's true. I'm amazed at the fact that she mentioned a key thing that is not often talked about. And she said it, and she says it in a lot of her lives. And when she's referring to health, is the trauma. I think most of us don't realize that the trauma, the things that we go through, how it affects our body. It is trauma to our body when we choose to continue to run our bodies down and not take the time to rest, not to take the time to put the right foods in our body, not to take the time to detox what we've already been eating all of our lives. So I think that's really a relevant. That's one of the things I've taken away from her the most is understanding the trauma that we put our body through when we do the thing, when we continue the habits that we do. And most of the time when we grow up a certain way, we're used to those habits, and we're not looking at the trauma it's causing us. Like she said, when she started, she was thinking, all I got to do is just do this. But she realized the importance of detoxing. Detoxing your body, because Dr. Sebi talked about that. It doesn't matter what you put in your body now. You're just kind of putting that on top of all the other trash that you have in your body. So when you take that time to get rid of the waste that's already in your body, it's like you're starting fresh. I had a colonoscopy done and my body felt so much better once I got all that waste out of my body, right? And I was just like, oh my gosh, I had no idea how much of a difference your body feel. And I made a commitment that day when I got out of it, when I came home and I recovered, that I was not going to put anything else in my body that was not going to make me better. I was not going to add any more trauma deliberately to my body.
Yeah, and this is a very good topic, because I keyed in on it in the second half of the show. We're going to go a little bit deeper on that trauma side, but this is very important, because sometimes, and unfortunately, we normalize that trauma.
Yes,
right? You know, Sharmane mentioned, sexual trauma, all these different things that we internalize, and because of our environment, we normalize them.
Right.
And then she also talked about, diabetes, like all these different things. And we just chalk it up like, okay, that's our inevitable path based upon our culture. But is it? Is it? Can we change that narrative? And as you can see right here in front of us, Sharmane made a decision, ladies and gentlemen. She made a decision to change the narrative. And to me, that's so important, because it's indicative when we kind of bring that over to wealth, right? We're talking about health and wealth. Have we made that decision for ourselves and our family for wealth? Now, like Sharmane said, guess what? Health is wealth. We really don't want one without the other. If we're out of balance, we try to get more balanced, right? And really understand the importance of both, because both actually allows us to be free. It allows us to walk in our natural gifts. Like before we came on, Sharmane was saying she was talking about health all day. And we said, yeah, you know why? Because that's a gift that God has given you, as we see on the screen. And when you walk and talk in your gifts, ladies and gentlemen, you can talk about that all day long. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, and we come back. We're going to get a little bit deeper on that trauma side, so maybe we can help release something based upon individuals that are listening, and then kind of move them to that health where they can see that those two are similar, but they can be diametrically opposed based upon how we deliver and how we treat it.
We'll be back after this. IBG Careers is looking for customer service representatives to service their clients from home. If interested, please apply at www.ibgcareers.com.
Let's work. Yo, it's go time, showtime, never backing down time. One shot, yo, make it count, yo. Crunch time, shine time, make this moment my time. Get a grip, yo, ready, set, go. We bring the thunder. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Yeah, it's my time, yo time. Step into the spotlight. Get lit, yo. Let yourself go.
On how to create content videos that pop, which means I'm going to show you how to take your creativity and how to combine it with the right tools to be able to create a video that your audience will love. It's not so much the video that makes things pop. It's your creativity. It takes your creativity, your unique gift in certain areas, combined with the right tools to produce the results that you need. Your audience is attracted to you. Your audience is attracted to your energy and your vibe. And I'm going to show you how to take that energy and vibe and put it in a video so that you can be able to market whatever product or service that you have. So, do you need a coach? Do you need help in the area of life and business? Get coaching from a team of experts here at Dinner with the Coaches with Thomas and Nadira. Inbox for more information.
That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ayy, coming down like precipitation. I ain't never met a limitation. Hater plotting my elimination. Gotta go to Google.
Stop. I want it. I got it. 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 I want it. I got it.
I want it. I got it.
I love it.
That's my favorite. Bro. I want it. I got it. I want it. I got it.
I'm gonna do a t-shirt. That's gonna be my t-shirt. I'm gonna say, I want it. I got it.
That's my favorite right there, boy. Yeah. We came a long way, Miss Sharmane. We came a long way. Awesome. So, hey, ladies and gentlemen that are watching out there, just a little recap. We have Miss Sharmane Harrison on. She is I say health and wellness, guru, if you will, because, she didn't just read about this. She actually lived it. And she made a decision to change the narrative in her life. And sometimes we can find ourselves kind of stuck in different areas, right? And Sharmane is a great example. And I talk about her story in terms of a story of triumph, because it may not have been easy going through what she went through, but the easiest part, ladies and gentlemen, was making the decision. Because as soon as Sharmane made a decision, everything changed. Now, it took a while for her body to catch up to her mind, because she had to feed her body the proper things so her body can be in line with her mindset. Because once her mindset, no, we're not accepting that, everything around her changes. One of the greatest things that I like about what Sharmane did in her story is she stayed focused. And I talk about this, a lot sometimes. She stayed focused long enough to witness the manifestation of what was already completed. Ooh, I'm going to say that again. Sharmane stayed focused long enough to witness what she asked for to materialize. Because it took some time. It wasn't just pour water and stir. But the first transition and transaction happened in her mind. So when you think about where you are today, there's some things that you may be dealing with and don't know how to kind of move from one place to the other. We encourage you, make a decision. Don't get caught up on the how to. Make a decision to do it, and the how to will come. So, Sharmane, you talked about trauma, and that's very, very, very significant, because it does come out somehow. And sometimes trauma comes out in vices: alcohol, drugs, sex, crime, all these different things are still trauma. So, talk to our people out there and, give them some suggestions on how to actually deal, or how did you deal with it?
Absolutely. So with that being said, like you said, it's a choice. It's a choice in our mind. And then when we go through different trauma and things like that, it sits in our body. So we feel like we're releasing it through those actions, but we're actually making it worse. It's a form of suppression, and I had to learn that, because I was like, man, I went to therapy. I mean, that was my, like, what more do you want? But I was still smoking and drinking and doing, doing these things. That was it. That was my mindset back then. Like, what more do you want from me? But it was more than that. It was what I was doing, my actions and things like that. So the smoking and the drinking and stuff that I was doing back then, it wasn't as intense as while I was serving. Like I said, I went and got the help that I needed. And then I changed my lives and my choices and things like that. But it was still something there. It had to be, because of what my skin did. So I realized, I'm like, I hadn't released a lot of other things too. And I still had little habits. So it wasn't about, going to the doctor and getting medication.
Yeah.
It was about what can I do? What has led me to this point? Now that's a self-accountability part. That's a self-awareness part. That's a reflection part. And that part a lot of people don't want to do. Because now it's like, what did you do that contributed to where you are at today versus going to the doctor that I met 5 minutes ago and expecting them to have the answer to all my problems. And that wasn't that easy, especially when you're dealing with a chronic illness. Now with health, tell people all the time, wealth is great, but health, that's the foundation. You can't go to work without it. You know, you can't be a productive parent. For me, I couldn't be a productive parent without it. You know, you can't run a business without it. You know, you can't do anything. Health provides that vitality, that mental clarity. It provides that creativity, and it also just provides that, just everything if you have that drive. So without your health, you have to realize, like, man, most of us are fatigued right now. We're fatigued, we're overwhelmed, we're stressed, and we're just surviving. You know, we're not really living. So you're not going to create wealth and legacy like that. You know, and that's something I learned. I can't be in a constant state of stress because I can't create my legacy like that, because you can't think. And a lot of the times when we're consuming things that's blocking the way we think and how we feel and disturbing our gut health, because of the simple fact of the matter is a lot of our hormones are created in our gut too. You know, and we don't realize that when we're dealing with anxiety and depression and all that stuff, we're thinking something's going on with the brain, but really it's probably something 9 times out of 10 going on with your intestines, your gut, your colon, things like that, because it all balances out. Now that's speaking from a holistic standpoint, you know, but you have to focus on our overall health. But to address the trauma thing, that's where most people get stuck at. Most people get stuck at that trauma, which is their current, you know, relationship with food. Okay. Their current that's the hardest part. And why they're not able to make that choice or feel like they're able to make that choice to switch, because they don't want to let go of how they were raised. They don't want to let go well, I was taught this. They don't want to let go of the things that they were like they learned, or they experienced things in their younger years that led them to making the decisions that they make today. Some people emotionally eat. Some people, you know, things like that. You know, this happened when I was younger, and it becomes a habit. And we know that when things become a habit, it's secondary. So it's like waking up, brushing your teeth. You don't think about doing that. You don't have to think about doing that. You just do it. And that's usually what happens with our health and wellness and things like that, when we've attached ourselves to that emotional bondage, to that trauma. You know, it kind of develops in who we become as an adult. It kind of develops in those things. And, you know, for me, like, I have doctors asking me right now, like, how'd you get rid of it? How? You know, they're asking me how I get rid of it, because they're looking at it from a money standpoint, because they want to be the first to cure something, you know, and it's like, you know, it's amazing, man. Yeah. So it's just like this, the whole thing, you know, like I said, with doctors, they're trained in pharmaceutical medication. You know, they're not so much. And then a lot of the times as an herbalist, we're not going off of what science proves and things like that, you know, in a sense, we're not going off of that. But my whole thing, you know, is I see it as, what do you have to lose when you go a more healthier route? You know, what do you have to lose? But as far as the trauma, people don't know that they have a lot of options. You have options. You don't have to settle. You don't have to sit inside that trauma and that sadness and that pain, because what ends up happening is you will never make the choice to do better. You will constantly be in a state of starting and stopping. I want to be healthy. I want to do this. I want to do that. You start, then you stop. You start and you stop, and you don't know why. You're like, man, I just can't focus long enough to do what I need to do. But it's because of your mindset. It's because of that relationship with food. You have to think like back and when it was slavery, you know, they were eating what they were given, you know, that was trauma food. That was trauma food. And then they were taught that over the years, you know, grandma, you know, ate this, and this is how you prepare it, and this is how you do this, and you cook a bunch of it to feed the family. That survived. They were surviving. They weren't living. They were surviving. And we're taught that through food and through traditions over time. And then we get stuck on that. And then when we want to do better, we get in our community you know, we get lashed out at. Like, who do you think you are? You too good to eat this, you too, you know? So we kind of stay stuck. And we want to do better, but our mindset is like, hey, you know, I don't want to, you know. So it can be tough. And that's where I meet a lot of people at the point where they're like, it's too hard. And I'm like, what's too hard? And they're just like, being healthy. I'm like, because of the way you're looking at it. The way you're looking at it. Like, honestly, that's what I hear a lot of people say. It's just hard. You know, it's hard to eat healthy. It's hard to eat the things that's nourishing your body, but it's because of how you're looking at it.
The path
You're not
of least
thinking about it.
resistance.
Definitely.
Path of least resistance.
Definitely.
So you said something interesting, and I hope everybody is really catching Sharmane's passion and her energy, right? Because if you look at these pictures, like, you know, it's not a whole lot that you have to say, and that's why these doctors are asking you how, because they never really seen it before and on display, you know. And thank goodness you had the presence of mind to capture before, not realizing, like you said, there was going to be an after. I think really you was really capturing your smile here, you know, showing people that you still can smile in spite of, right? Because your smile is infectious, right? Because your smile, it detects how you feel on the inside. Like you said, when you got into these groups, nobody was smiling, right? So you showing that, hey, you still can smile. And guess what? We're going to get through this together. But you said something interesting, and you said a term that I really never heard before, and that was relationship with food. That's deep.
Yeah.
Relationship with food.
Yeah. I definitely had a relationship with them cookies. I'm telling you.
Oh yeah.
I definitely had a relationship with that cheesecake. We had a thing going on, you know.
And I understand, because chocolate chip cookies is my kryptonite, boy.
Well, they have plant-based now. So you can eat plant-based.
Yeah, I think I'm allergic. Nah. But I mean, that's just interesting, because, you know, we really don't look at things that way, where, you know, when you're talking about relationship, it can have a hold on us.
Yeah.
Right. And based upon, you know, past traditions, like you explained, that really can be the beginning of our demise. And it's so interesting. We've seen other individuals in our family, based upon their food and choices, that to be their demise as well. But we still hook our chain to that wagon, and still say, hey, this is the wagon that I'm gonna pull, or this is the wagon that I'm gonna allow to pull me, based upon traditions. Nadira?
And then also, we live in a world where a lot of products and things that are made that are external. Fix it externally, you know, drink this and you'll be done with it. You know, eat this and you'll, because right now people they want to lose weight, but nobody really wants to change lifestyles. They want to just lose weight. They want external changes, but not realizing, like Sharmane said, it starts internally. You know, if you don't deal with, and I like that in her program, she deals with that she breaks it down in segments where she goes through the mindset first, because you can make a decision. It is difficult, to stick to something and see it through to become a lifestyle, because we'll easily say, it's always easy to say, in our mind, I want to change, because we want to see the end results. But we have to understand that between your desire and the actual manifestation of your desires, there's a process that has to be taken, that has to be considered, and that's your mindset, your choices, and your habits, So I like the fact that in her program, Sharmane was, when I was sick, and Sharmane was like, look, Nadira, she reached out to me and was like, get this, do this, do that, do this. And I was like, and it was amazing though, that I was able to recover, even though I had the longevity of the fatigue for a little bit longer than I anticipated. Even things that I was able to take during that time frame, she didn't realize it was saving my life, because, and it made me realize I never want to get to that point again, because I remember feeling in my body where I was having like little things. Like one time, and I told Sharmane this the other day, it was so funny. I was out driving, and I said, you know what, I needed energy. I was really big on energy drinks. Let me get an energy, because I need more energy, to do what I wanted to do, because I was trying to add other things to my body to keep me going, instead of slowing down enough to be able to say, you know what, let me look at what I'm doing in a day. Maybe my body's getting burnt out, but I, in my mind, being an entrepreneur, go, 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 go. And because I'm from Jersey, we have the mind, go, 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 go. It's about that grind, you know. And what happened was I just literally grind myself to sickness till I got sick. And I didn't share with anybody. I just was like, okay, you know, I'm just going to deal with this the best way I could. I was having things going on in my body and didn't know it. And then I realized, wait a minute, you know, when I went through that period when I had got sick and I realized I started implementing and making some changes immediately, I think my desire to want to be free was bigger than my desire to want the sugar that my body was adapting to. So it wasn't hard for me. It was like, I don't like feeling sick. I felt sick already. I don't like it. You know, I'll take this if this is going to help me. And that's what I told Sharmane. Sometimes people don't want to make that change until they're desperate, you know, to you in that desperate mindset to say, I want to do this now. Help me now. And then you want quick fixes. And the long-term thing of this is that you have to do things one step at a time. And it has to start with your mind. You have to make a decision that you want to first.
Awesome. Yeah. And so everyone, you know, I started off with saying, to me, you know, Sharmane's story is a story of triumph, right? Because I really see how she became victorious. And in these last 10 minutes, Sharmane, I kind of really want you to hone down on because of what you went through and that trauma that you went through, kind of overcame that utilizing, you know, the natural holistic path, showing your before and after. Now, for this last 10 minutes, let's talk about the wealth aspect of it. Because you see, ladies and gentlemen, what I really want you to get out of this whole thing is Sharmane took something that was a deficit, something that was weighing her down, right? It was like really altering even how she felt in her mindset. And once she realized that she had the mindset to change the outcome, I really want you to hear what she did. She flipped it and she took herself out of the equation. Look at her smiling. She took herself out of the equation and she realized that she has a gift. And her creator has given her a gift to help other people who are dealing and suffering from health challenges. Now, why is that important? That's significant because now she took something that was, you know, a negative, if you will, right? And she turned it around, and now she's actually in a position where it's financing, is helping her as well as her daughter do some things that she wasn't able to do before, because now she figured out a way how to monetize her gifts. That's the wealth part of this. Sharmane, please bless us with some of your wisdom when it comes to your business.
I like this part. So for me, you know, before I get into that, I want to put out there, you guys, herbs are not Tylenol. Okay. I have a lot of people come to me like they want to jump into the herbs. They're like, oh, what herbs? Listen, take all the herbs in the world. But if it's not absorbing in your body the way it's supposed to, because you haven't created that environment for it to absorb, it will not work. It will come, you will urinate it right out. Okay. So that's why I start with mindset in my program, you know, for me. So I just felt like putting that out there because I know, you know, a lot of people, they're like, oh, herbs. Yeah. What herb is for headaches? What herbs for? No. Let's start with, you know, so we want to separate that. But for me, I got to the point where when my skin started to fade, I started to share that because I was excited, you know? So when I was sharing it in other Facebook groups, people were angry.
Whoa.
Wow.
Because they were like, wow. There was so much. Remember in the beginning, it was like I said I was in these groups and people were just angry, right? So I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, let me share what I've done. So I was giving like tips, but so many people were reaching out, writing me. I was like, oh my goodness, you know, like, so I was sitting there typing out, you know, what I could. But it was a lot because the whole process from before and after was like a year and a half, you know, of constant going, you know, trying to figure it out, trying to put things together, trying to, you know, figure things out. So what ended up happening in my after pitches, I created my own Facebook group. I created my own community. And even before that, what I did was I said, well, let me see if this works for me. Let me see if it works for other people. So I ended up actually helping other people. The first person I helped was somebody in India. The second person I helped was, I think, I want to say she was in the US somewhere. The third person might have been in Morocco, somebody in Australia. Like, it was just people all over the world.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, cool. So they were applying the information that I was teaching them, and they were getting the same results I was getting. Their pigmentation was fading. And then it went into that. And I realized, like, one of the ladies that I worked with, she actually was at a point in her life where she had fertility issues. So I was like, okay, so I helped her out through my program, and she was able to have a child. She wanted to have another child in her 40s. She was able to do that. You know, people that were struggling with arthritis, they were able to get their you know, they were able to get their bones back together. You know, just feel a lot better, right? So I realized that what I did worked. I was like, okay, what I do works. So I was able to help out a lot of more people. So I found my gift. I found my purpose. My purpose met my passion. My passion was helping people. I love to help people, you know, but this is my purpose. This is my gift. So my purpose met my passion during this time. And so that turned into my mission, which now, because I know that what I teach works, but that would my volume go out.
Yeah. You're good now. You're good.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yep.
Okay. The volume's kind of my phone ring. I'm sorry. But yes, my purpose met my passion. So now for me, one of my biggest missions is to be able to build that community, because what I teach, you know, the foundation of what I teach, I want to be able to continue to help those individuals just everywhere in the world, you know, be able to overcome, you know, their health naturally. And so I was like, this would be awesome if I was, you know, be able to start that community. So I started with my Facebook group. I have a Facebook group called Wonder the Naturopath. And in that group, I help other people that's suffering with skin conditions or suffering with just things, pre-diabetes and all those things with their health, be able to do the same thing that I did. You know, and right now I have a 20-day challenge that I have going on in that group. It's free. It's in the group. And then that is 20 tools that I give, because I did a masterclass recently. And those are 20 tools that I give you that you're able to apply. And they're easy. They're simple tools. And you're able to apply them in an everyday life. And I do the challenge with you because sometimes it takes accountability. And that's another thing that I saw was a disconnect. You know, some people need that accountability. Some people need that motivation. Some people need that inspiration. Some people need to hear a different voice and know that it's possible. And that's something that I didn't have. I didn't know it was possible. So I just accepted it. So sometimes we just need to know that it's possible. So that's why I started to create my own community of individuals who, you know, they want to go from dealing into healing. That's what I call it, from dealing into healing, because that's what we're doing.
Wow. Incredible.
Yes.
I mean, that's just phenomenal. She said, my purpose met my passion. Oh, that is deep, because sometimes we don't realize, you know, our purpose can come from our pain. Right? That's just reality. Sometimes we get caught and we get stuck in the pain, and we can never see past the pain. Well, the pain is not here to stay.
Right.
The pain is here to challenge us. Can we think past the pain on another level? And you demonstrated that, right? So, hey, hats off, boy. Hats off, man. Great job. Great job. Great job. You know what I mean? Hats off, because that wasn't easy, because it sounds like even though you was in a Facebook group, you was all alone. It seems like everybody just accepted their fate, per se.
Yeah.
And you said, nah, and you take anybody who's willing to go. But we getting out of here, though.
Right.
Some people raise their hand, and you help those that were willing, because sometimes it's almost impossible to help those that are not willing.
Right.
You know, for some people, maybe it's just not hurting bad enough.
Right.
So they're okay where they are. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's the top of the hour. As you can see, we could go on and on and on and on because it's a phenomenal story of triumph and overcoming.
Yes.
Right. And to me, it's indicative of our lives where, life is life. Right. I always say you can't get out of life alive. Right. So while you're here living, it's just called life, and everybody experiences life.
Right.
Well, the things that we experience in life don't always have to dictate our future, meaning the things that we're presently dealing with. But sometimes if we don't know how to get past that, how to see ourselves outside of ourselves, it's just easy to accept our situation and our fate. Miss Nadira, then we're going to let Miss Sharmane close this out.
Looks like she looks like we jumped out. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for each and every one of you that have watched us. If you are watching us on a replay, make sure you hit #replay so that we can know that you have watched. Did you learn something today? Sharmane gave us some amazing tools, and I think the key takeaway for me, here she comes, she's back. Key thing that I took away the most is just the trauma. Mindset and trauma. So make sure that you visit her on her website, www.healbynature.org. Sharmane has amazing programs to help you go from dealing to healing. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you. Sharmane, did you have anything else you wanted to say?
Yeah, she's back.
I am back. No, thank you so much. Like I said, you don't have to suffer. That's my last word. You don't have to suffer. You have options. Make sure you reach out. Make sure you absolutely reach out so you can free your health from hostage, free your health from that bondage.
Wow. Amen. Stay on the line, Sharmane, after we disconnect. Stay on.
Okay.
But
thanks for watching, guys. Have a good night.
Appreciate you guys.
IBG Careers is looking for customer service representatives to service their clients from home. If interested, please apply at www.ibgcareers.com.
Let's work. Yo, it's go time, showtime, never backing down time. One shot, yo, make it count, yo. Crunch time, shine time, make this moment my time. Get a grip, yo, ready, set, go. We bring the thunder. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Yeah, it's my time, yo time. Step into the spotlight. Get lit, yo. Let yourself go.
On how to create content videos that pop, which means I'm going to show you how to take your creativity and how to combine it with the right tools to be able to create a video that your audience will love. It's not so much the video that makes things pop. It's your creativity. It takes your creativity, your unique gift in certain areas, combined with the right tools to produce the results that you need. Your audience is attracted to you. Your audience is attracted to your energy and your vibe. And I'm going to show you how to take that energy and vibe and put it in a video so that you can be able to market whatever product or service that you have. So, do you need a coach? Do you need help in the area of life and business? Get coaching from a team of experts here at Dinner with the Coaches with Thomas and Nadira. Inbox for more information.